People in Deer Lake are searching for service, and community leaders say that this is a major concern.
We need to be able to receive the call so that we can perform our jobs correctly.
I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll tell you what's going on.
As our population ages, there'll be more demand for hip surgery. But now the Premier says there'll be a unit dedicated to providing it at St. Clair's Hospital in St. John's.
Barrow AFC may be losing a lot to Chelsea, but it appears that the sponsorship deal has turned out to be a big win. We're live at the big match. We'll have some more stories coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. It's been more than a year since two men were arrested in a St. John's trailer park, accused of abusing a dozen children over decades. Few details have been released about Tony Humby and Bruce Escott until now. Tonight, CBC reporter Ryan Cook has information from newly unsealed court documents. But first, a warning, this story does deal with sexual assault.
This 355-page document is called an Information to Obtain, or ITO. It contains all the untested evidence the RNC used to get search warrants in the case of Tony Humby and Bruce Escott. Now, you might remember those two were arrested back in April of 2023 and charged with 47 sexual offenses involving youth between the ages of 13 and 18. Escott is poised to enter a plea deal, while Humby has pleaded not guilty to all charges. These sorts of documents are usually under seal, but CBC News went to court back in January to ask a judge to grant us access, and we were successful. What we see in this document is one officer's account of the RNC's case against the two men. The officer writes that Humby was investigated by police in 2007 when a 16-year-old boy said he was raped by Humby at his trailer on Hussey Drive. Humby was pulled in for questioning, denied the allegations, and was told that he was free to go. No charges would be laid. Then she writes that less than a month later, Humby was pulled over on Blackhead Road at 3 o'clock in the morning with 3 teenage boys in the car. The same officer that spoke to him a month earlier again pulls him in for questioning, but he declines comment and no charges are laid. These documents summarize 9 different police investigations involving Tony Humby between 2007 and 2021, but he wasn't charged until 2023. And that's when the officer writes 3 teenage boys came forward with allegations of abuse spanning years. That prompted a wider investigation in which more than 30 people came forward with allegations spanning as far back as 1995, including one of the boys from the car on Blackhead Road. The officer who wrote the affidavit goes into some pretty horrific detail about allegations of rape, molestation, and luring, and how that affected them physically and mentally. The affidavit says police went back to that 16-year-old from 2007, but this time with a different outcome. They decided to press a charge of sexual assault 16 years after the initial complaint was made. The officer says when Humby was told about the new charge, he replied, "Kind of late, isn't it?" Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, as Ryan just reported, Tony Humby has pleaded not guilty to 33 charges, but there was breaking news from the courts this afternoon. Dozens of additional charges filed today. We go now to Ryan Cook in our newsroom for the latest on the case against Tony Humby.
Humby appeared at provincial court in St. John's by phone this afternoon. He's facing another 39 charges. That includes 9 counts of unlawfully obtaining sexual services, 8 of luring a child using a computer, plus sexual exploitation and making and possessing child pornography. Now, according to police, the new charges relate to 9 previous complainants and 1 new complainant, and some of the new allegations date as far back as 2004. Humby is due back in court on the new charges next month. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Ryan. Well, more stunning testimony at the inquiry into the Titan tragedy today. A South Carolina court heard from a tour operator who says Ocean Gate came close to killing him. Investigators also heard from a former employee who said the company used exorbitant ticket sales to stay afloat. Here Now's Heather Gillis has the latest. Apologies, we seem to be having some trouble with that clip, so we will return to that in just a moment. So we're going to move on to the West Coast now. People living in Deer Lake are frustrated with their cell phone coverage. They say calls are dropping out all the time and the service has gotten worse. Community leaders are worried and they want answers. Colleen Connors reports.
Mayor Mike Guzny says cellular service in Deer Lake went from bad to worse about 4 months ago.
It's interesting because it seems like the number one thing that people speak now when you pick up your phone, can you hear me? So it's very scratchy and it goes robotic, so there's definitely something changed.
Guzny says people in this town don't have landlines. He says they rely on their cell phones and pay a fair price for their phone plans.
There's great concern. I mean, we're in modern 2024 and we should have modern services.
Deer Lake's fire chief says it's not just about being modern, it's about safety. The volunteer department used to rely on an app to contact firefighters in emergencies. Cell service is so poor, they've turned to using pagers. The province has invested in a new radio system for emergency services, but Rousel says it won't matter how much the technology advances if people who need help can't reach it.
But if you're the person in the ditch requiring the help and you can't make the cell phone call to get that help, it doesn't matter what the first responders have. We need to be able to access the call, we need to be able to receive the call so that we can perform our jobs correctly.
Guzny is taking his concerns outside of just Deer Lake. He is sending out a public petition to community leaders in 270 municipalities in Newfoundland and Labrador, asking them to sign saying they want better cellular service. He's also encouraging the public that are having issues to contact the CRTC, that regulates telecommunications in Canada. As for the minister responsible for technology, he can't say what's causing the call drops, but he notices it too and says this is not a provincial issue.
There's absolutely been a degradation in the service. It's somewhere we're used to always be able to rely on, and it's not there. Sadly, Deer Lake is not the only, this is not isolated to Deer Lake. This is an issue in a lot of places. We're seeing it seems like a reduction in service. So the questions being asked are the same questions I have. What is going on here? I mean, people pay for services. We should be moving forward, not backwards. And I think first and foremost, it lies with the carriers.
We asked Bell what's to blame. The company sent a statement saying mobile workers and people working from home could be impacting cell traffic. Bell plans on expanding 5G services to 100 sites in the province in the next 2 years, including Deer Lake. Bell's wireless network currently covers 94% of this province's population. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Deer Lake.
Well, the province says it's getting ready for a big increase in the number of people needing hip surgery. Today, the Premier announced a 12-bed hip fracture unit that will be established at St. Clair's Hospital in St. John's. Here now's Mark Quinn has more.
Premier Fury says that when he began practicing as an orthopedic surgeon decades ago, the healthcare system here saw less than one hip fracture a day. Now there are about 500 per year, and that's projected to go to 800 per year as the province's population continues to age. According to Fury, after a hip fracture, patients must have surgery within 48 hours, and then they have to stay in hospital and recover.
The burden of hip fractures is going to be overwhelming for the bed situation in the healthcare system. And so this is a proactive measure.
The new unit will use existing space at St. Clair's, but health officials say that doesn't mean other services will become less available. In fact, the health minister says the new unit is expected to reduce times for many services.
People will be in hospital now for a shorter period of time as there's a dedicated unit to deal with people who have hip fractures. That means it'll free up beds, and that also means that individuals who have this treatment for hip fractures in the hospital are going to recover more quickly and be able to return to their homes or personal care homes, as the case may be, as opposed to, unfortunately, tying up beds in hospitals and maybe tying up beds in long-term care homes.
Of course, hip surgery is one of the procedures Dr. Andrew Fury performs as an orthopedic surgeon. So this might be the face a patient sees if they have the misfortune to break a hip.
As you know, I still do a call on the weekends. Hip fractures are a large burden of that call. So I would anticipate that while I'm Premier, I may avail of that particular ward.
Fury didn't say exactly when that unit will be available. He said they'll have to recruit people to work in it first. He expects people already working in the system will fill those positions. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Okay, so let's get back to the latest from the ongoing Titan tragedy hearing. As I mentioned, today a tour operator says OceanGate came close to killing him, and we also heard from an employee who testified the company used exorbitant ticket sales to stay afloat. Here Now's Heather Gillis brings us up to speed.
Crisp underwater footage shared today at the Titan implosion hearings, an ROV attempting to recover wreckage from the submersible, embedded in the sand deep down at the bottom of the North Atlantic. Long before the tragedy, Carl Stanley says he warned OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush.
OceanGate came very, very close to killing me.
Stanley owns his own uncertified tourist sub, was inside Titan in 2018 in the Bahamas during a 3,000-meter dive. That first hull was damaged by lightning, but Rush didn't share that information, nor did Stanley know that OceanGate's own engineers wouldn't get inside.
At that point, I had no reason to believe that Stockton was a liar. And
Stanley says if he had known the truth, he would never gotten aboard. During the dive, he testified the hull was cracking loudly. The deeper Titan went, the worse it got. Rush told passengers to brace themselves.
But he was down there by himself, scared, and he kept going. You know, I have a high tolerance to risk. I've done a lot of adrenaline-seeking activities, but I don't believe, normal behavior.
Stanley warned Rush in emails Titan wasn't ready for passengers. He says the tragic implosion wasn't an accident. All the signs were there.
And I think that if it wasn't an accident, it then has to be some degree of crime.
And there's not a day that passes that I don't think of them.
Investigators also heard emotional testimony from former OceanGate employee Amber Bay. She wasn't there the day of the implosion, but says she knew the crew members who were killed in June 2023. She says paying customers, called mission specialists, would get credit for another try if they didn't see the Titanic wreck on their dive. And if their money was gone, OceanGate would work to recruit new, wealthy participants.
So did you witness a feeling of desperation to complete the dives to meet the compounding demands of the previous year's obligations?
Not a desperation. There definitely was an urgency.
An administrative assistant, Bay eventually became in charge of opening and closing Titan's dome. She'd been at sea during dives between 2021 and 2023. Towards the end, she said money was getting tight, so much so that her and Rush stopped one paycheck. She also recalls Antonella Wilby getting let go after only 2 weeks. The contractor testified last week she had spoken up about serious safety concerns.
She was acting unprofessionally, crying, yelling, and kind of pushing aside recommendations and asking people had asked her to stand down, and she did not.
And do you know what she was crying and yelling and disturbing the crew about?
I believe we had lost communications with the sub.
Meanwhile, sub-operator Carl Stanley says it would take years to certify a carbon fiber hull, which would mean more money and more time from Stockton Rush. Testimony continues tomorrow in South Carolina, where we're expected to hear from another sub-expert and the American Transportation Safety Board. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Memorial University campuses are crumbling, tuition is climbing, the quality of education is suffering, and staff are burning out. That's all according to a newly formed group calling itself the Campus Coalition. The collective of labor and student unions from across all MUN campuses held a press conference today to outline concerns. The group wants to see more funding for the university and is calling on the provincial government to step up.
Our university, and it is ours, owned by the students, the workers, the people of this province, cannot be allowed to further decline and degrade. Premier Furry, and respectfully, we believe you must do the right thing. Sit down with us, sit down with the students and the workers, and develop and commit to a concrete plan to restore funding to our university. Anything short of that is a disservice to our university's legacy and to our province and to our people.
Now to the fishery. Canada and France have come to an agreement on the Atlantic halibut fishery just south of our shores. The Atlantic Groundfish Council was concerned about overfishing in the area south of Newfoundland after the French government gave the go-ahead to fish about 7% of Canada's total authorized catch. Canada had accused harvesters in St. Pierre and Miquelon of wanting to seize an excessive share of its halibut quota. The new agreement means French fishermen will now be able to land 3% of the total allowable catch set by Canadian authorities.
So prior to this agreement, they were fishing outside, unregulated, and that was a concern, obviously, for the status of the stock outside of the science advice. I mean, of course, we always would want a lower percentage, but these are negotiations and compromises have to take place. So they will be allowed to fish Atlantic halibut in their own territory and also outside 200 miles, but they won't be able to fish in Canadian waters.
Well, the province is making international headlines by becoming a sponsorship partner with a soccer club in the northwest of England. And tonight, millions are watching Barrow AFC hit the field along with our province's logo as the team goes up against one of the best-known football clubs in the game, Chelsea FC. Here now's Jeremy Eaton is at Big Ben's, where Kean College is hosting a special watch party for the event. So, Jeremy, how's it going over there?
Well, Carolyn, the game is just wrapped up. Things went as they were expected to go. Chelsea demolished Barrow AFC 5-0. This is the first time that these two teams have played each other since, I believe, 1947 or 1948, so it's been a long time coming. Fun fact, back then they beat them 5-0 as well. And this is the furthest that Barrow has gotten in this tournament since 1967, 1968. So just being here was a big win for the team. Now, for people like government officials and people who work at Kean College, it was a big win for them today because the jerseys featured Newfoundland and Labrador across the front and Kean College on the side, Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Association on the other sleeve. Now, joining us to talk a little bit about why this party was being held was Steve Taylor. He's the co-owner and executive vice president of Kean College. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
And thank you for supplying all, Danny, can you show all the pizza? And thank you for supplying the pizza that have fed us for the last little bit. We've gone through a number of boxes. Why did you and your colleagues at the college want to hold this event, Steve?
Well, there's lots of reasons we did it. I mean, first off, soccer is a global sport. Both my sons are really big into the soccer, so to be able to support such a good cause is really, really important to us. We have a big summer coming up next year with the summer games coming to the province, so to have these professional soccer players in that global context be able to come here and support our athletes as they get ready for that tremendous event was huge to us. Secondly, we have a lot of international students, and Newfoundland and Labrador is increasingly a part of that global international economy, and so this is our way of giving back and staying connected to that, that sport on a global basis.
Now, earlier this year in the summer, in late August, Kean College announced a number of significant investment, not only in Barrow AFC, but in soccer in general. Can you talk a little bit about that investment, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to get the engagement, we need to get people over here, and we need to have people. So we wanted to support that travel budget, so we put $100,000 into that. And in addition to that, we're supporting the Athletes Village at Memorial University during the game, so we put about $120,000 into that as well. So that's part of that connectivity. We love the province's investment. Again, sports is so fundamental to health and well-being, so we doubled down on that, and we wanted to show our support for the province's initiative, and we couldn't be prouder as a college, frankly, and as proud members of Newfoundland and Labrador to do this.
So you coughing up $100K to fly the team over. Do you have any idea when we can expect to see members of that football club grace the soils of Newfoundland and Labrador?
I don't know the exact schedule, but I know it's going to be in prep for next year, so I can see the months leading up to next summer. We're going to have a lot of exciting activity here on the ground, and yeah, it's about getting out there to communities across across the province and making sure that everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador has a chance to engage with these professional level athletes. For them to play a Tier 1 team like Chelsea, absolutely phenomenal. Couldn't be prouder to see it and have this watch party today.
Now we got to wrap up real quick, but I understand one of your colleagues, a couple of your colleagues are over there.
Indeed.
Were you jealous? How did you feel watching the game from here when some of your friends are over there?
A little jealous, I'm not going to lie to you, right? They better represent well, but yeah, we have 4 of our exec team that went over. Craig and I were going to go, but it was supposed to be scheduled a little earlier. But we need to have boots on the ground, and 4 of our exec team members there that are flying the flag for us proudly in the UK.
And one more quick question before we've got to wrap it up. Your logo, a company that you own, a business you purchased in 2019, is on the side of a professional sports team. How does that feel?
Feels fantastic. Not only is it on a jersey, but it's actually going to be in the 2025 FIFA video game.
Yeah.
So now you go and you're able to play at Barrow, you're going to be able to see it on your jersey along with Newfoundland and Labrador. So very proud of that.
Well, appreciate your time, Steve. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This is Steve from co-owner of College of the North Atlantic, Kean College. I'm Jeremy Eaton. I'm Jeremy Eaton live at Big Ben's. We got more chats coming up from this bar about this game. We'll chat about that later on in the show.
Well, a little bit different weather happening. That's a great shot. A little bit different weather happening depending on where you are across the province. Some high pressure, some summer temperatures. I'll get into all the details coming up a little later.
right, time for a look at the weather. Ashley, hopefully we can get through this without any more glitches. We're having a real glitchy system tonight on the show for sure. So chilly today. We're kind of, I guess, in this pattern now of cooler weather.
We certainly are. Along the northeast coast, that is not the case
in Labrador.
Everywhere across the province. Some of us are enjoying some sunshine today and lots of it. But yeah, let's take a look at what's going on out there. So we've got this big ridge of high pressure to the north, that area of low pressure that I've been talking about since last week, still sitting there. And that is bringing us that northerly flow. There it is. It's a little bit further offshore right now, but that northerly flow is still very much bringing those cooler temperatures along with some periods of drizzle and showers, although most of today was dry along the northeast coast. I know we're seeing some showers now and drizzle in central areas like Gander, but overall things are, pretty decent weather-wise. If we take a look at the daytime highs today, you head towards the west coast, even along southern areas of the island, 16, 17, 18 degrees up across Labrador as well. Similar forecast, the hot spot tide across Labrador between Churchill Falls and Nain at 17 degrees this afternoon. That is nearly 10 degrees warmer than what you should typically be seeing this time of year. Temperatures really not a whole lot of movement as we head into the evening hours now. We're down to about 9 degrees in Twillingate, 10 in Bonavista, 14 in Burgeo right now. And the coolest air is in Lassie, where you were seeing temperature around 8 degrees. So if we take a look at what's going on, like I said, that area of low pressure keeping us in that onshore flow, lots of cloud cover associated with that, although some breaks in the cloud cover, and that's typical in this case. But we do have those showers, like I said, very light showers, but they are happening, and we're seeing them across the Avalon as well. And as we head through tonight, we are going to continue to see those showers as well. Now, today marks the 2-year anniversary of Fiona. We are under very calm conditions today, but there is some tropical activity, and we're going to talk about that. It is in and around the Yucatan Peninsula. So tropical storm now, it has become a tropical storm, and it is Helene. And right now, winds topping out at about 95 kilometers per hour. And as we head through the next couple of days, this is not going to affect our weather at all over the next couple of days, or at all, I should say, from this system. But over the next couple of days, it is going to head into the Gulf and strengthen quite dramatically. So we're looking at a potential category. You just saw that live, update live there. But it is going to transition to a Category 3, or intensify to a Category 3 hurricane. With winds topping out at about 185 kilometers per hour. Still, not a whole lot of change from yesterday as far as where the track of the system is, but it does look like it will be somewhere in the Big Bend region of Florida. And again, that time frame will likely be Thursday into late Thursday. So like I said, we're not really going to see any effects of that, but if you are heading to Florida or any plans to head to Florida, again, you're going to want to keep an eye on the forecast. So for now, we are looking at just the unsettled conditions as we head through tonight. So periods of drizzle still certainly possible. No periods of rain, but just that light drizzle expected in northerly flow. Lab West, you're going to see some cloud cover as well. But other than that, not a whole lot happening up across the Big Land. And your temperatures tonight, again, are going to sit in the single digits, 3 to 5 degrees, 7 to 10 across Labrador, or across the island, rather. And into tomorrow, again, very much a carbon copy forecast. I do think there'll be a little bit more cloud cover than we've been seeing for the past few days, especially for central and eastern areas. But areas like the west coast, the northern peninsula, southwest coast of the island, looking at a beautiful day tomorrow. 10 to 19 degrees, depending on where you are, 12 to 13 degrees further east. Up across Labrador, I don't think you can ask for anything better as we head into the middle or end of September at this point, anywhere from 16 to 19 degrees. We'll get into the long-range forecast a little later.
I'm Maddie Ryan here at the launch of the 35th St. John's International Women's Film Festival. We're here to check out the lineup and hear from the women who have their films on the big screen this year. Let's check it out.
I'm delighted to be here today as we kick off the 35th St. John's International Women's Film Festival. This milestone is a testament to the passion, perseverance, and creativity of the women in our industry.
Hi, my name is Alexa Jane Jarrett. I'm an emerging local Newfoundland filmmaker, and I just won the Michelle Jackson Award for my short film Fleckers. I'm ecstatic. I'm so honored to be able to create this film. It's about my family's experience with my grandmother's ongoing dementia. I feel very fortunate to have the chance to bring this to life. I feel like I wrote it with my grandmother. This festival is incredible. It's changed or created futures for women of Newfoundland and Labrador and all over. It is so established, so prestigious. It brings us all together. Honestly, my first experience in Newfoundland and Labrador film was working in the framed film camp mentored by Ruth Lawrence when I was really little. And it's just incredible to find myself a part of it so many years down the road.
Hi, I'm Melanie Oates. I'm the writer-director of Sweet Angel Baby.
And how are you feeling about your film opening up the festival?
I'm super excited. It was coming to the Women's Film Festival when I was 18 and sort of learning about the local filmmaking community and being inspired by their work that got me into filmmaking in the first point. So it's quite an honor.
Thank you. Hope to see you at the festival October 22nd to the 26th. Have a lovely afternoon. See you at the movies. Thank you.
For years and years, we always thought that we were built for storms and we could withstand any storm.
Well, 2 years since post-tropical storm Fiona slammed into Port aux Basques and neighboring communities, we'll look back with Mayor Brian Button. That's just ahead.
Hills.
Well, today marks 2 years since post-tropical storm Fiona forever changed the face of the province's southwest coast. Fiona destroyed 100 homes, caused more than $7 million in damage, and claimed the life of a 73-year-old woman who was swept out to sea. Channel Port aux Basques Mayor Brian Button joins me now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mayor Button, how are you and your town feeling on this anniversary?
Well, today is a lot calmer than 2 years ago. It's a nice day here today, but 2 years ago we were into the chaos of Fiona hitting and dealing with the news of homes being swept away, a loss of life. It was just chaotic. Even today, you still hear the voices that were coming over the radio and in the disbelief of it. But today, we're just trying to reflect back and just thinking about a lot of the things that would have happened 2 years ago. Especially today, we think about the loss. And anytime there's a disaster and you have a loss of life, we certainly think about the Lehman family and Thelma's friends. And Thelma was a community person, and today we think about her memory, and that's first and foremost for us.
It's hard to believe that it's been 2 years since the storm. And when you look around your community, what kind of scars and reminders do you still see?
Well, we lost a lot of homes. 86 homes were lost at the initial stages of Fiona hitting. Those homes have been since removed. We have another 57 homes that will be going as a part of an area now that we've deemed now that it's a vulnerable area, and those homes aren't taken down yet, but will be going. So a lot of our neighborhoods have changed. A lot of the area, a lot of the scenic around has changed. For our community, for our people, a lot of this hit us later. The mental health aspect of all of this, people started to feel all of this later, seeing all of your friends and neighbors moving and going to different areas, in some cases going to different communities. And knowing that, for years and years, we always thought that we were built for storms and we could withstand any storm. We live on an island. We've done it several times, but this storm was different. And it had an everlasting effect where for a lot of us now, when the talks of another storm coming or talks of hurricanes coming up the eastern seaboard, we certainly think about it differently now. And you can feel the anxiety around the community when there's storms coming and people are a little more, watchful of, around their own properties and so on and so forth. So it has changed. It's changed things dramatically over the last 2 years.
How has your connection to the sea changed in all of this?
Well, we found out firsthand the power of the sea. The sea came in and, it took homes in mere seconds. That homes were swept away and homes were left that they weren't livable anymore. We saw, land mass, taken away.
Can you talk about the rebuilding process over the past 2 years? How much progress has been made? What's left to be done? What more do you need?
As I said just a few minutes ago, we have another 57 homes that'll be coming down. That'll be starting over the next little while. Whether it all gets done this fall or not, that's going to be determined on the contracts and how it's situated through the provincial government. But for us as well, we had a lot of infrastructure damage into our community, and when it came to outfalls, sewer systems, and so on and so forth, some of those were private sewers, some were municipal. We're repairing and making sure that all of these things are done, as well as right now we're getting into some of the shoreline work where we're adding in some extra protections in certain areas. All the community, of course, won't be done, but we're doing certain areas where certain places were hit the most, where we saw most of the, the destruction, and Armorstone rock are being placed. But, with doing that, people say, well, how come it's taken so long to place that? Well, there's outfalls, there's sewer systems, there's extensions had to be done there's quite a bit of engineering work that has to be done before this could be done. And so things have taken time. Now, does it get frustrating? I'm sure it gets frustrating for residents, because it gets frustrating for us as a council, as a mayor of the community. We get frustrated at times. But hopefully, we're on the road to recovery, and hopefully we'll get there.
Well, Mayor Brian Button, it's definitely a somber day, but there are things to be grateful for sure. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for having me.
Well, we're going to head back to Big Ben's, where Jeremy Eaton is taking in the big football match between Barrow AFC and Chelsea, and we'll hear about what the new partnership with Barrow AFC means for the province. That's just ahead.
Welcome back to Here and Now. We're hanging out here at Big Ben's, a very popular pub here in Churchill Square in the city of St. John's. Now, the Barrow-Chelsea game has wrapped up. Things didn't work out as fans of Barrow AFC might have wanted, with the team dropping this league third-round match to Chelsea 5-0. But that didn't dampen the spirits of the people here. Everybody was there to see one thing, and that was the Newfoundland and Labrador logo across the chest of the visiting team from Barrow AFC, Kean College on one arm, and NLSA, Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Association. This is a big deal for soccer players. It's a contentious issue with some people, the amount of the sponsorship that was spent by the government, but for soccer players, this meant the world. Now, earlier this evening, we had a chance to speak to the executive director of that organization, Charlie Reed, and here's a little bit of our conversation. What is the significance of this game for young kids across the province to see Newfoundland and Labrador, on the jerseys of a team playing against such a good team like Chelsea?
I think it's incredible. We have, NLSA, we have 30 clubs, 114,000 athletes across the province that have this kind of international profile with a club like Barrow. Gives us a lot of recognition, a lot of brand equity. They see international players playing international ball in a sport they love. So I think it's incredible that our membership across the province can have an opportunity to see this.
Now, the province kicked in money to get this name across the front, but Kean College also kicked in money to get their name on the side, but also money for you. Can you talk about how much money and what that goes to, Charlie?
Well, I know Kean, obviously very appreciative of Kean's sponsorship of this program that the government's funded. They've kicked in $40,000 for 3 years, so a total $120,000 over 3 years, to support grassroots and community engagement with Barrow, which we will support and help them manage. Kean also was very gracious to give the NLSA $10,000 per year for 3 years to fund grassroots development.
So when this announcement came out, a lot of people, not soccer fans, but a lot of non-soccer fans thought it was a terrible idea. Given this game that's going on now and all the hype that's been surrounding it, what do you think of the deal a couple months later?
I think it's an incredible opportunity. You need to try new things sometimes to see what they actually can mature into. Just look at the fans in that stadium today, right? It's probably 50, 60,000 fans. We got 11 or 12 jerseys on the pitch with Newfoundland and Labrador logos on the front, and NLSA logo on the jersey, Kean College on the jersey. What more bang for your buck than you get for that?
Just show the logo to the camera real quick. The Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Association. What does it mean as the executive director of that organization to see a team on a stage like this with your logo on the side of their jerseys?
Oh my God! Money can't buy you that. It's incredible to get that representation internationally. Obviously, having Barrow's commitment to Newfoundland and Labrador to come here over a 3-year cycle to help us grow grassroots development, whether it be with coach development clinics with players, grassroots effort with kids who are from equity and inclusion, diversity and inclusion backgrounds. I think it's an incredible 3-year stretch that we're embarking on here in partnership with the government and with Kean College, and certainly very grateful for that support.
So the match is wrapped up, but there's still a few people here hanging out the very popular Big Ben's. They've been nice enough. Amy, thanks so much. This is Ashley, owner of the bar. Thanks so much for letting us hang out. Thanks a lot. I've been on the other side of this bar once or twice, but this is the first time that I've been on this side of the bar. Ashley actually didn't even know that I worked at the CBC until today.
Not a clue. I have a whole new appreciation for him now.
Ashley, what did you think of what happened on the TV here tonight?
Oh, it was amazing. So many people here cheering the team on, and the energy was great. I thank you guys for coming in and for using my space here. You're always welcome.
Just going to you're a huge CBC supporter. The news is actually on right now.
Right here.
So we want to thank you on behalf of the CBC. We want to thank you for playing the CBC News here every night, Ashley. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's pretty funny. That's pretty meta. Hey, okay, I got to get out of the way. All right, that's it from us here at Big Ben's. Thanks again for the staff for letting us hang out here. Reporting live, I'm Jeremy Eaton for Here and Now.
Switching gears now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is at the United Nations today. He commented on the recent escalation in fighting between militant group Hezbollah and Israel.
The people of Lebanon, Lebanese Canadians, are watching this and incredibly worried. We need to make sure there is de-escalation, both by Israel and Hezbollah. We need to protect civilian lives. We need to make sure we're moving towards peace and stability in the entire region. And Canada is going to continue to be there to step up and call for peace and help create, once again, that peace and stability that we need.
Trudeau is in New York for the opening of the UN General Assembly. Australia's consumer watchdog is suing the country's two largest grocery chains. The lawsuits allege that shoppers were misled by discounts. The government says it's taking the move very seriously.
If this is found to be true, it's completely unacceptable. This is not the Australian spirit. Customers don't deserve to be treated as fools by the supermarkets. They deserve much, much better than that.
The lawsuits claim Woolworths and Coles may have hiked product costs for a short period and later discounted to a level to still be higher than the previous price. It comes as many in the country grapple with the high cost of living. The supermarket giants have faced accusations of profiting from consumers at a time when a lot of Australian households are also facing high interest rates, housing prices, and energy bills. And staying with food security, scientists in Belgium are testing how pear trees will react to climate change. They've simulated growing conditions for the fruit to match what they expect it to be like 16 years from now, and they got some results.
After 1 year of experiments, we found that the effect of climate change at the 2040 horizon on the quality of pears was very minor.
Now, scientists did note that in higher temperatures, pears tend to be less firm and have more sugar, and that could be bad news for growers because less firm fruit has a shorter shelf life. Well, stay with us. Ashley's forecast is just ahead. Okay, so time for a look at the long-range forecast now. Later in the week, as I mentioned earlier, and as you've been talking about, we're in this like pattern of cooler weather. We just got to get used to it.
It's pretty much a carbon copy forecast, which has been for the past couple of days. We tend to get in, sometimes we get stuck in these patterns that are very spring-like. It's not typical of this time of year, but here we are.
Yeah, we could all just go to Labrador.
If we could, yeah, and maybe we should. Let's take a look at what's going on over the next couple of days. So as we head into Thursday now, it has been as Carolyn mentioned, very nice up across parts of Labrador. Will continue to be very nice across parts of Labrador, but into Thursday morning, there is the chance that we'll start to see some shower activity, a little bit more unsettled, especially for the west through the day on Thursday. I do think definitely in the way of cloud cover, but again, you may see a few showers in the mix. And then across the island, conditions will improve for some of the island areas through central, really along the northeast coast, but eastern Newfoundland still going to hang on to this onshore flow, which is going to keep the cloud cover and chances of showers still in the forecast as we head into Thursday. So temperatures overall really similar to what we've been seeing. In fact, pretty much across the island, that's the case. Still a tad warmer as you head towards the west coast. Only around 14 degrees for Port aux Basques, and then up across Labrador, cooling a little bit, especially in the west. And again, that's because you're going to see a little bit more cloud cover and the chances of showers in the mix. 14 degrees for those of you in Lab City. Still a beautiful day on Thursday for central areas of Labrador. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 19 degrees. That will be the hot spot across the province and really towards the coast, still in the mid to upper teens. Now, as we head into Friday, more cloud cover will move back in across the island. So we'll say goodbye to the sunny conditions, and then we're going to get into more shower chances as well, as we've got an area of low pressure to the south. Unfortunately, it still keeps us in that onshore flow, so that does mean that our temperatures are going to continue to be on the cool side, especially for St. John's, around 13 degrees. Central areas, again, cloud cover moves in, but overall daytime highs between 15 to 17 degrees. And then Labrador, you're going to really be back to the nice weather again. So 16 to 18 degrees through the day. Along the strait, a tad cooler. You'll be hovering around the 14-degree mark. But again, sunshine, really the rule for you. Now, as we head into the long-range forecast, I wish I had better news, but at this point, it is still looking like some periods of drizzle are possible, some cloud cover. Again, daytime highs around 12 to 13 degrees, overnight lows. We're really only seeing a 2 or 3 degree variation in temperature from daytime to nighttime. But we're still, the chances of sun coming back in as we head towards the end of the 5-day forecast there on Sunday. But overall, between 12 to 14 will be the daytime highs. And then for central Newfoundland, weather does improve, really, as we head into the weekend. It looks pretty decent at this point. Some cloudy periods as we head into Saturday, Sunday, a little bit more sunshine, but your overnight lows are dipping into the single digits. And that's the case for Western Newfoundland. Great for the fall colors, which are inevitable, and we love to see the pictures. But Saturday, you're looking at a few showers, and Sunday, 18 degrees. Now, for Eastern Labrador, by the time we get into Sunday, some showers certainly possible, but that is a gorgeous forecast. And same thing for Western Labrador as we see some showers as we get into Sunday, but overall some sunshine and temperatures in the mid to upper teens. Our weather photo of the day is this great shot.
Oh,
Bonnie
lovely.
captured this photo and she called it Rainbow Kisses in New Bonaventure. So thank you so much.
Sweet.
Thank you for that photo. If you have any weather photos, you can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca. We'd love to see them.
Yes, I love a good rainbow. I saw a rainbow, I think it was on Sunday morning, after taking the dogs for a hike. It was really misty, and then it was sunny and misty.
It's the perfect weather for it. You get that, the drizzle and then the clouds and then the sun. Perfect recipe for rainbows.
Yeah. Drizzle like your dog.
Exactly. She's heard her name a lot lately.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.